All right, we're back. I don't know what happened. 2 minutes in, video crapped out, so I am going to start from scratch on this one. All right, so what we're talking about today is element one of 6 elements I've distilled optimal fitness down into, right? And that first one is fat loss, the one that people find the most sexy, the most important. All of them are equally important, but this one for body recomp is where you need to start. So fat loss essentially boils down to creating that calorie deficit, right? Eating less than you need to maintain your weight, through a combination of exercise and smart dieting. You have to be in a deficit over time, not necessarily every day, but over time to lose weight, right? So the first, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts and then 3 supplement recommendations that are backed by science. So the first part is having a clear target, right? And excuse my nasally voice here. I'm dealing with some weird allergies or something. In Winnipeg here, we have some fluctuating cold and warm days, and it's a mess, so I'm drinking water. So a clear target essentially means knowing where you're headed, right? I like to break it down into 90-day chunks where you'll say 90 days I want to lose 10 pounds, inch off my waist. You make sure that's front of mind, whether it's on a blackboard, in a calendar notification on your phone, etc. And even if you can't necessarily control what your body does, you can control the daily action steps that you've set to get there. So make sure you're breaking it down into what you're doing daily to move you towards that 90-day goal. That's first off. Second part is what you eat, what you put in your mouth is far more important than what you do in the gym when it comes to fat loss. The combination is better than one or the other, but in studies, what you eat up to 3 times more weight loss than exercise changes alone, right? So you can't out-exercise a bad diet in most cases. So making sure you know your numbers, you're eating sensibly, whole foods, the stuff that you need to do, you're going to need to do, essentially. The next part is making protein the base, right? Pro is on the board behind me. What does that mean? Well, most diets that keep protein constant, regardless where fat and carbs end up, tend to outperform diets low in protein, right? So it's more filling for one than carbs or fats, and there's a thermic effect to it, whereas you digest a certain percentage of the calories from protein just to burn it off, up to 30%, whereas carbs and fats are well below 10%. And then thirdly, more protein, more muscle mass. It preserves that lean mass while you diet down. A lot of diets low in protein will burn as much muscle as they will fat. You end up skinny fat, and you're back at square one, right? So I can't emphasize that point enough. Make sure protein is a base of every meal. All right. Brendan's back on. Zach's back on. Sorry about that. I don't know. My feed here. Winnipeg internet, I guess, is to blame. So we're going to go into the supplements now. You may not have heard of 1 or 2 of these, but they are quite promising in the research. The first one is 5-HTP, which increases serotonin production, which reduces cravings for sugars, for bad foods, right? Evidence suggests this actually works quite a bit with people with obesity, diabetes. Naturally lean people, maybe not, but if you're trying to get to a weight loss goal, it can't hurt. That said, if you're on an antidepressant, SSRI, anything that affects serotonin, there's some conflict there. So you do not want to take this if you're on medication like that. Okay, so how would you take this is essentially, let's say you really struggle with nighttime snacking. This would be something you take a half hour before dinner, reduces your cravings and appetite. It may also help you sleep better because it can help you produce melatonin that regulates sleep. It's kind of a happy thing because serotonin is a happy chemical. So there is a bit of an antidepressant effect here. But it is a natural. There is no real dependency created. You may not want to take it year-round, but on your diet, when you're getting pretty aggressive with it, half hour before dinner can be quite effective. Makes sense. So number 2 is something everyone knows, and that is what's contained in a mug like this, and that's coffee. And there's 2 real reasons for this. one that's not a real reason is the thermic effect, which can maybe increase heat production, a bit of fat loss. That I'm not really suggesting is going to make a huge difference. Where it does help is in reducing appetite and enhancing performance, right? You're going to have a better cardio or workout if you take some caffeine beforehand, right? It gives you an actual performance boost, more pain tolerance, and that can impact the quality of your workout, which over time is obviously going to help your weight loss. All right. And what was number 3? Yohimbine. Yes. This one is exercise caution for this one. But it does show that it increases adrenaline levels in the body, can tap into those stubborn fat stores, but can exacerbate anxiety if you're a high type A person. Probably best to avoid this one. I'm not necessarily type A, but I didn't feel great on it, so I haven't used it since. But if you're willing to try that out, it can be that little extra 2% edge at the tail end of a diet to kind of work off that stubborn fat, right? Increases adrenaline levels, gives you a bit of an energy boost, but also can bring on more anxiety, right? So if you like coffee, stick with coffee, Zach. Absolutely. So just to recap, I wanted to keep this under 5 minutes. I've already failed that goal, is to make sure you're in a calorie deficit. That's where it all starts. Have a clear 90-day target of what you want to achieve and give yourself constant reminders of that. Keep yourself motivated and then build in your daily habits, right? Your daily habits could be going to bed by 11, maybe not for Zach. Eating protein with every meal, exercising 4 times a week, having some clear guidelines for yourself that you have to follow in order to reach your 90-day goal. So what you eat is more important than what you do in the gym when it comes to fat loss, up to 3 times more important. When they compared exercise alone to eating alone, eating tended to win out. Obviously, the combination is your best bet. Third point there is protein has to be the base of your diet. Certainly, carbs and fats have their place, but a diet that's too low in protein sets you up for failure, sets you up for a rebound, sets you up for muscle loss. And then the 3 supplements that can support weight loss, if you got those other big rocks in place: 5-HTP, which reduces carb cravings, sugar cravings. Take that in the evening, and you should snack a little bit less. It should have a measurable impact on that, which over time translates to weight loss. Caffeine or coffee, performance booster, appetite suppressant, especially if you go through periods of fasting. And then Yohimbine, which is a little more intense, a little higher level. Would exercise caution with that one and cycle it if you do try it. Okay? So that's it for element number 1. We're going to be back for element 2, which is on muscle gain next week. Ideally on Tuesday. I'll try to set a time in the evening to get a few more of you guys out. But the replay should post on this one because I didn't lose connection. So thanks to Brendan and Zach for hanging in there with me. Any questions, drop them below. And weigh-in is tomorrow for the Thunder Buddy Challenge. So let's get it. Let's hit it.